change that you feel would most benefit the LGBT plus community?
Well, if I have all the power, can I ask for 3 more wishes? I mean, that's the first thing I would want to do. That's interesting. I think unity would be the thing that would make the most sense in terms of getting our needs and our concerns and our political worries together. If we all sort of realize, hey, we are in this together.
Mm-hmm.
As a bisexual man, if a transgender person's rights are taken away, it affects me because I have trans friends. And so we're all in this together. And
Right.
so oftentimes, and I think it's getting better, but I'm old, so I'm out of the loop a little bit. But so often it was always just sort of like this. There was the gay male contingent, and the lesbians were over here doing something, and the bi folks were down there, and then in the late 90s, the transgender thing was just sort of coming, and nobody was like there. Everyone was sort of so worried about, again, the dilution of each person's movement. And I get it. Gay men have different needs than transgender folk and lesbians. But they also have a lot of the same needs. And there's no reason why our individual letters can't work on our own shit.
Right.
In our world, while working alongside all of the other rest of the alphabet to get. So I think that's what I would do. I think we'd stop this ridiculous, petty bullshit that's sort of going on.
Yeah, because those differences are valid.
Yeah, absolutely. They're totally valid, but they're also but again, the similarities are very same.
Yeah,
just in the same way, lesbians have the same, and they're also women. Women's rights and lesbians' rights are the same, but also lesbians have different rights that don't include straight women. But right to choose is 100% across the board. Every female and male, I argue too. But so it's just a matter of we have to sort of try to get along and not step on each other to get higher.
Yeah, not to invalidate one another.
Totally.
Okay, so ask not where I live, or what I like to eat, or how I comb my hair, but ask me what I am living. What I am living for in detail. Ask me what I think is keeping me from living fully for the thing I want to live for, which is a quote by Thomas Merton. The actual question is, what is your goal in life? Actually, it's a 2-part question. What is your goal in life? And what is slowing you from achieving that goal?
At this age, my goal in life is just to make it live a few more years. My goal in life, what's stopping me from achieving whatever goals is more often than not myself. Is my own ego, my own fears, my own insecurities, and the more I can acknowledge it, address it, and be okay with it, love that I'm not perfect, that I'm insecure, that I'm, I feel, I'm looking at this thing, I'm like, oh, do I look fat in the screen? Like all these things, that's always what's stopping me when I'm making movies. Like it's always sort of, that's what's stopping me. And it has to be just about the quicker we can, and the quicker we can accept all of ourselves, all the wonderful parts of ourselves, and also the stuff that we aren't thrilled with. Because in the end, I think I'm a pretty decent dude. I like myself. I wouldn't change a lot. And that also then includes the stuff that I don't want necessarily people to see all the time, and sort of it be okay that, just like, my partner is very flawed. Ani DeFranco has a great line. And it's something, to paraphrase, something along the lines of like, I chose you as is. Like I knew all the shit you had. I knew your problems. I knew you were an asshole, but I accept you for who you are. And so, and I do that for my partners. I do that for my friends, and I should be able to do it. We should be able to do it to ourselves as well.
Yeah.
First,
right?
Yes,
exactly.
100%, yes.
Exactly. So, what is your hashtag deepest tea? i.e. something that you've never shared on media before and something that you are willing to share with us today, of course.
That I'm a stepdad, which has a lot of pitfalls, minefields. And so, and I'm actually, writing a book about being a stepdad and all the interesting stuff about it. But part of it is that I am worried that I'm not good enough. That I was invited into this family. It's not my family. I was invited into this family, and I think there's a level of, you have to, you don't, you're not necessarily, you're an interloper initially. You got to be better than that. And I always feel like, I go to bed every night and I worry. I'm like, how did I screw up my kids tonight? And I replay it, like, oh, I wish I should have said that. So I think that's, to be completely honest, I worry that I could have been a better stepdad, because they are innocents. In a relationship, I could have been a better partner too, but they also see what's going. They're, that kind of thing. And I actually am a great stepdad. I mean, that's the other thing. Like, I really do think I'm a really good stepdad. But part of the thing that makes me a good stepdad is that I worry that I'm not a good stepdad. Because if I'm sitting like, oh, I'm the greatest stepdad in the world, then chances are you're the worst stepdad.
I see. Well, I just want to say to that, if your partner didn't think you were worried, you would not have been invited around.
For sure. And you don't know her, but
yeah, as a parent, I'm saying that, that's something that you wouldn't have to question if you're, invited to be around such pureness, because children are so pure and
perfect.
They're amazing to be around. So you got it, stepdad.
Look at you. I keep coming every week. You're making my self-esteem skyrocket. I appreciate it.
Hey, that's the goal. So what are some stumbling blocks that you've had on your path up, and how did you overcome them?
I think the stumbling blocks have to do with, again, sort of partially my ego, thinking I am further along my journey than I thought I was, only to be turn the corner and realize, oh, I have not worked on that shit yet. And it sort of smacks me in the face. And, I mean, and part of this, and so that's the main one, is just it's just getting in my own way. I think we are constantly trying to close off the negative thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we close it off too much. And, even listening to you talk about my films today, it's, the words were effusive and wonderful. And so makes the ego good. But so if I'm just listening to how great I am and how wonderful I am, both my, people that have seen my movies, or my mother, or my partner, and start buying into your own image, which is sort of an image. You're going to stumble, you're going to trip, you're going to be like Icarus, you're going to fly too close to the sun, you're going to get too arrogant, and you're going to go fall down. You're going to get, your wings are going to melt. So I think that's my biggest stumbling block. And I think I make less and less stumbles as I get older. It's nothing new to say, but it's such a frustrating feeling of that. Once you start figuring shit out, you're at the other end of your life, so like I wish I knew now what I knew 30, I would be, running the world.
Yeah. And we're all our own worst critics, especially as artists. And I can imagine that bringing your full vision into something that may have restraints by a budget or a certain amount of time isn't always something that is easy to, like, be understood by, an audience that doesn't understand or doesn't relate somehow. But, that's the amazing thing about the creative process, is you can always, recreate. You can always, make it into something bigger,
Yeah, listen, absolutely. And I will also say this, and this, it's that because of budgets, and again, I turned down more money so I can do it for less money. And obviously, I look at the films I've done. I'm like, oh, I wish I had more money. I could have done this. But I will say this about sort of the audience: if you have a good story, the audience will forgive a lot of technical stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, Strange Fruit played at probably every gay festival in the country and half around the world. And in the early 2000s, it was one of the only Black gay films out there. So it was packed crowds and people loved it. And I think it had more to do with the fact that there was, 500 Black or people of color, queer men mostly, and women, seeing themselves up on the screen. And so if my budget was a little less, they forgive that. And so that's sort of, people will forgive. Filmmakers ask me, what can I do? I'm like, just if you have a good story, people will follow it. The sound is okay if they connect to the story and the characters. And that's sort of what you got to do. And because if I had $50 million and I made a movie, I would sit there and look at it and say, oh, if only I had 60 million, I could have made that better. You could always want more.
Yeah.
I'll get another Ani DeFranco quote: whenever you think you have enough, enough grows. You always want more, and you got to sort of live with what you got as best you can.
Okay. So what are some things that you would like to be left in the legacy time capsule for your work?
In terms of what? We mean like just how people feel about me, or?
Yeah, like, so in the future, when people look back on the things that you've created, what would you like to be most remembered?
I think I'll be most remembered that I stuck to my guns, that I made the kind of films that weren't being made, still aren't being made for oftentimes, and that they pushed the needle a little bit. I'll still periodically get emails from people who said, oh, I saw Strange Fruit, or a woman, I saw Steam, and I'm trying to come out to my parents, and it was so inspiring. Those little things are really important. And it's, you want to know that I've left. I gave more to the world than I took. And when people watch, if people even, I just saw the movie Coco last night, which is the Pixar movie about and it's sort of about like remembering. Eventually, when you stop, said people don't remember you anymore, you float away, and that was so scary to me. Like I don't have, it's not an ego thing about it. It's just like, I like to know that what I did has helped and continues to help people, even in small ways,
Okay. So we're on social media.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, were you finished?
And then I'm very handsome. That's also the legacy I'd like to leave.
I agree. I agree.
Pretty sweet. Oh my goodness.
So where on social media can we find you? And I think that's the last question. Where on social media can we find you? Besides,
I think you can find me on Instagram at Fence Sitter Films.
Mm-hmm.
Also, White Man Walks Into a Barbershop.
Mm-hmm.
And also my name, Kyle Schickner. All of my films are available. They're eventually going to be available on Amazon over the next 6 months. But if you really want to see any of my films, like Steam or Strange Fruit or Rose by Any Other Name, you can. It's on Vimeo, which no one even knows what the hell that is.
I know what Vimeo is.
But mostly Vimeo. It tells Vimeo. It's on Vimeo under my name, Kyle Schickner, or you can search the names of the movie, and they were Strange Fruit or Steam, Rose by Any Other Name, Full Frontal, which was like a funny mockumentary about the gay porn world, or Paradise Lost, a horror movie I did with like a lesbian hero. So anyway, so that's where I can be found. I have a very crappy social media presence, as my stepdaughter likes to tell me all the time, but I don't get it. I have no idea. I still don't quite get how Twitter works.
Well, pick her brain. Pick it. Ask those questions.
Time for me. She's too busy.
You want to know those opinions and ideas, because they come from a pure place. She sees something that she wants to express to you, and she's inspired as a storyteller, maybe herself. So she may be up and coming writer herself.
She she's considering that, yes. So
Yeah. So ask those questions. That's I was going to say that earlier. That's a great part of being a parent too. Like when you're dealing with the budget, you learn how
you
to
do,
budget.
you
You
do.
learn how to be cost conservative and really be creative. Like you're pushed to that point to, be creative and use your natural resources. And wow, thank you so much for taking the time to interview with us today on #VerseTV.
I am
Aaron?
100% honored to be even invited and considered. You've no idea how excited I was to be here today.
You have no idea how nervous I was. I was
Really? Couldn't even tell.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. But it was an honor as well. You've done some very great work. I admire what you do. I actually had never. I was Aaron Mack introduced who you were, and I looked at the accomplishments and Googled you, of course, and all that, and I am an admirer. So thank you so much for everything that you do, and for being here today.
Thank you so much, and you, please let everyone know in the social media world, that you admire me and send them my way, because I can't seem to find them.
Of course, and maybe in the future I'll get to interview you again.
Oh my God! You name the time and the date, I'm there.
Oh wow! Really? Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes. That's exciting. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Are you, Aaron? Is it recording still or no?
Actually, it's always recording, but